help with that, we're going to welcome an accounting professor at Montclair State University, Dan Geltrude. Good morning, Dan. Let's jump right into those markets, which kicked the week off closing down yesterday. Now, this morning, futures are also down ahead of the opening bell. Okay, so according to new data from AARP, more Americans are now delaying retirement or even picking up gig work to make ends meet in this economy. You know, this is the savings accounts and cheap credit Americans enjoyed during the pandemic have now begun to run dry. So, Dan, inflation is only slowly trickling down. Is there any reason for concern when it comes to consumer spending?
Oh, there's absolutely a concern for that. And the reason for that is quite intentional, because if we look at what the Federal Reserve is doing by raising interest rates and most likely continuing to do so, they are on a path of demand destruction. So as you continue to destroy demand, what happens? Well, businesses, companies, employers, so on, they start laying people off. So I anticipate that we're going to see that unemployment rate starting to rise in the months to come. And this is exactly what the Federal Reserve intends to do.
Let's head to cars now. So Ford is now following in Tesla's footsteps, cutting prices on its electric Mustang Mach-E. Now, it comes ahead of Ford and General Motors, both expected to report earnings this week. Dan, is this the best technique to up demand and increase profitability?
Well, there is a reason why these electric vehicles are being lowered in terms of price. I mean, Tesla was the first one to start doing it, and now you see other car companies doing it. Why are they doing it? Because they're having a buildup of inventory, which eats up your cash. When you have inventory, you got to keep it moving. So this is, again, something that these EV companies are looking at, saying, hey, wait a minute, demand perhaps is lowering just a little bit. Got to keep it moving. Let's get prices down.
Let's stick with EVs because not all companies are struggling. So production is now underway for GMC's Hummer EV SUV, which is already reportedly completely sold out. I mean, Dan, what do you make of the EV market? Do you think it will ever be a big market, or is it just going to be more of a specialty car?
You know, that's really the big question. I think over time, we're going to see more and more EVs on the market taking a larger market share of what we're driving. Will it really overtake the rest of the car market? Not for a long, long time, Alex.
How about this? So Lowe's has pioneered a brand new system geared towards tackling organized retail crime, and it's in an almost invisible manner. So, Dan, organized crime cost the industry about $100 billion in 2021 alone. So, Dan, tell us about the Project Unlock, and do you think other retailers will follow suit with Lowe's?
Well, this is where technology steps in once again. So what this is about is, for example, in Lowe's, as people are stealing things like, let's say, drills and other types of equipment like that. So what they're doing is that they have a chip in there that needs to be activated after the product has been sold and actually purchased, so that the product will work. So if somebody is walking out of a store stealing something, the product simply won't work because it hasn't been activated. This is really technology going into the future, and hopefully it's going to be effective.
Yeah, I like that idea, actually. Let's switch gears to Apple. So they're expected to post its first revenue decline since 2019 this Thursday. But word of a folding iPad is now coming down the pipeline, maybe in 2024. Dan, what do you think that this could do for Apple, which really hasn't put out the next best thing in a long time?
Well, that's exactly right. You know, Apple's in the situation where they have to really come up with a little bit more ingenuity than just saying every year our iPhones have better cameras, because that's really what we've been experiencing. They need to hit the market with something that's a game changer. Now, whether this foldable iPad is going to be that, we'll have to wait and see until next year. But I think Apple is obviously have some concerns related to their bottom line and how they're going to increase that. And the way they are going to do that is finding new and interesting products.
Yeah, they really haven't come up with anything new, like you said, except for like a camera update on the same brick phone that we've had for years. So finally, Americans may be tightening their purse strings, but lovebirds are finding the extra cash to spend on their significant others this Valentine's Day. So Dan, what are people expected to spend more on than last year? What exactly are they buying?
Well, let me first say, I don't know who invented this holiday, but I just don't get it. And I've said this for a while. Valentine's Day is an opportunity for men to have an epic fail. So what are the purchases out there? Chocolate, no surprise. Cards, you know, your Hallmarks, quite expensive, by the way. That's up there. And then, of course, as we're seeing on the screen, good old roses. But, you know, similar to Apple, is it the same thing as last year? So I think lovebirds are in a situation where they got to figure out what is going to be a difference maker this year. And I don't know what that is. This is not a holiday I'm in favor of. I hate to be that way, Alex, but I hope you could see my point of view.
No, I understand. I think you should show your love for your significant other every single day, not just on Valentine's Day. But we actually have a couple more seconds left, so I do actually want to ask you about the Super Bowl party. So we have our Super Bowl set, of course. It's the Philadelphia Eagles versus the Chiefs. With some good news about a couple food items for your upcoming party, but some bad news about a football watching staple. What's going on here?
Well, one thing is that we're going to see beer prices going up, and I would think that beer is a staple during the Super Bowl, so that's the bad news. However, the good news is that the price of chicken is down, so those wings are going to be a little bit more cheaper. And how about this? Avocados are down, which means eat up that guacamole. Ooh. Love that with the chips. So good and bad, but overall, let's hope we're going to see a good game. And, of course, Rihanna for the halftime show, so that should be great as well.
Yes, I love that. I love avocados. I love guacamole and chips. I'm looking forward to that. Dan Geltrude, thank you so much for coming on this morning. Always appreciate your insight.
Thanks, Alex.